You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your website, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate Formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Readred Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at raharden.com. That's the World Wide Web at RAHARDIN.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Harden to see and purchase his books.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Folks, happy Saturday morning. This is America Off the Rails, the Week in Review. For the first couple segments, we're actually going to have an interview that we did at CPAC with Pete, the tech guy, and he's actually going to talk about an interesting experience that he had at CPAC, but I don't want to spoil it for you. Let's just say that the folks that are screaming the most about fake news also seem to be the ones that are going out of their way to make sure they have time to create it. But we have lots of other stuff to talk about today, so we'll be doing that with the other segments of the show. Of course, we have the Democrats, as usual, rushing to judgment. Not to mention the fact that not only while they're rushing to judgment, they've failed to think about the fact that they're pretty much throwing themselves under the bus, because politicians meet with ambassadors all the time from every country, and let's not forget, while the Democrats are now suddenly catching up to Mitt Romney, who in 2012 tried to say, hey, Russia's one of our greatest geopolitical foes. And Barack Obama had his little great one-liner, hey, Mitt Romney, the 1980s are calling and they'd like their foreign policy back. Now, all of a sudden, the Democrats are on the same page with Mitt Romney. The Russians are terrible. We shouldn't be interacting with them. Hey, that's great. That's a wonderful thing for you to finally say, because we were kind of trying to tell you the same thing in 2012. But it doesn't change the fact that Nancy Pelosi, who is trying to throw Sessions under the bus for meeting with Russians, has had meetings with Russians. Chuck Schumer, trying to throw Sessions under the bus, has had meetings with Russians. The simple fact of the matter is, if you're a politician and you're not meeting with ambassadors and politicians from other countries, you're not doing your job. The only reason that this stuck with all of a sudden his name escapes me. Anyway, there was a member of the Trump cabinet who recently resigned because of the fact that he had met with Russians as a private citizen. There is a never used before legal stance that says private citizens can't meet with politicians from other countries, etc., blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And that's the only reason that in that particular instance, I think the person was made to resign. Now, with Sessions, this is nothing but a witch hunt. It really is. I mean, because he actually, and I know some of you are going to hate this, but I have friends who are lawyers, and actually at one point in time, I had actually thought about becoming a lawyer. What the Democrats are trying to nail him for right now is insane, because he answered a specific question in the way that it was asked in reference to the hearing. Someone who is actually trying to get a job such as Attorney General, is not and should not be trying to answer things about hypotheticals, because hypotheticals don't work in that scenario, because depending on the circumstances and the legalities, that's going to influence what he actually has to say or do in those particular circumstances. So for the Democrats to come back and say that he lied under oath because he said he wasn't aware of any meetings with Russian officials, etc., in the scope of the Trump campaign, that's not a lie. Because even with the meetings that are now coming to light with Sessions, those things aren't relative. Those aren't relative to the question that he was asked. And I know some of you right now are rolling your eyes, but I promise you, from a legal perspective, the answer that he gave was correct, because he didn't have to tell them about those other meetings, because it wasn't within the scope of the question that he was being asked. So whether he didn't remember or he chose not to say doesn't matter, because it's irrelevant based on the scope of the question. But anyway, we are going to have to take a really quick break. When we come back, we're actually going to queue up the interview that we did with Pete the Tech Guy live from CPAC. So we'll be right back here in about 60 seconds.
States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Readred Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Readred and all his work.
Visit Readred's website at raharden.com. That's the World Wide Web at RAHARDIN.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Readred Harden to see and purchase his books.
All right, folks, this is Rick Robinson coming back to you live right now from KLRNradio.com. CPAC 2017, still hanging out at booth number 22. If you want to come by and say hi, myself and Dan are here. Right now, we're sitting down with Pete the Tech Guy. Actually, he has been dressed like Doctor Who for most of the weekend, which has made my day because I'm a serious Doctor Who fan. And honestly, up until... honestly, his name escaped me for the moment. Tennant, up until Tennant, Baker was my favorite Doctor. So,
well, actually, I think Matt Smith has been a better Doctor of the current. Although I think Tennant has had better writing.
See, we may have to have a non-political discussion about that at some point, because I disagree. I liked Matt Smith. I think the thing about it was Eccleston wasn't there long enough, so I didn't have time to really get adjusted to how much darker the character was with him. And then Tennant was kind of more of an upbeat Doctor. It kind of reminded me a little bit more of Baker. Smith, I don't know. I mean, it took me a while to get used to him. I'm still not really a fan of the new Doctor.
I like Capaldi very much, and as a guy who's been into Doctor Who for 41 years, I've followed Baker, and I follow Baker currently in the Big Finish production. A lot of people don't know he's done 5 seasons. He's in his 5th now of making original audio stories for Big Finish, Nicholas Briggs' group. In fact, if you like Tennant put out 3 stories this year, brand new with Catherine Tate as Donna Noble, that went out at Big Finish. And John Hurt did 4 box sets, the 4th one just before he died. I literally just pre-ordered his last box set as the War Doctor from Big Finish here at CPAC 2 hours ago. It's the only time I've really taken away from doing work at CPAC type of thing. I got the alert available for pre-order, had to jump on it.
So why don't we talk a little bit about, because I noticed that last night you had said that at one point you were actually doing what you do now as a blog, but you were doing that on terrestrial radio?
Yes, I was doing the Tech Guy on the radio. I was at WCRN, AM 830 in Worcester, Massachusetts. I was there for a couple of years, and then I was syndicated on the Money Matters Radio Network for a couple of years. But the money had dried up. I just couldn't keep it up, and I had to drop it. So we had the podcast, The Tech Guy, off the radio, which will soon be expanding to 2 hours, but only temporarily because, frankly, I have gone through so much interviews at CPAC. I literally have 2 laptops right now uploading interviews. I've taped more interviews over here. We ended up doing spontaneously something called the Tech Guys Midnight Court, where at midnight I set up with my 2 laptops and my microphone and talked to all comers who were at the main lobby, and we were out till 3:45 2 days ago, and last night I didn't get back to my room till 5 in the morning. So I have all that audio and some video to upload too. So we're going to be expanding that to 2 hours. And of course, there's the Tech Guy blog. Been blogging politics. I think the blog started, it was November of 2008, just after Obama was elected. The company I worked for folded. I was doing computer tech support, my major science. And so I was doing the company blog as well. And it was basically technical stuff, but I would throw in occasional free speech things. Anything that was internet free speech, I could throw in a little bit of stuff I liked. So I said, okay, I'm going to write about the things I'm interested in. Politics, religion, the Red Sox, Doctor Who, current events, and so forth. So that's how the blog started. Now I have writers who I pay to write for me. The Tech Guys Magnificent 7, although there's now 9 or 10 of them. I don't pay a lot because it's everything I make comes from the readers who are able to kick in. Some subscribe to get the podcast early and help. It pays for my writers and so forth, and others just hit the tip jar. In fact, the only reason why I'm at CPAC is because my non-subscribers, I sent out a pledge drive saying, do you think I should go to CPAC? I need about $1,800 to $2,300 to cover all the expenses, plus cover a week's pay, because I had to take a full-time job to keep the mortgage going, because we had a little downturn a couple of years ago. And they came through with enough money to not only pay the bills, but to make up my week's pay, so I was able to come here, and I've been flat out ever since.
Nice. So there was one thing that I definitely wanted to get to during the interview, because we kind of shut down the place last night, so we were all kind of walking back as you were about to get set up for your midnight court. You had mentioned something that I'm going to let you talk about that has something to do with a certain personality that tried to get you to do something that was untoward, shall we say?
Yes, I think we can safely say it was untoward, and the full story I'm about to tell you can see at thetechguyblog.com, DATECHGUIblog.com. It's the lead post for February 25th. And basically, I was at credentialed media here, of course, and I was in the media room. The president's speech was coming up. I was sitting at the end of an aisle. Yahoo was in the aisle, getting ready to go. And it was so crowded that there was a large amount of media that was there, of course, that finally they couldn't take any more. And then the whole back area was filled with other attendees who wanted to get in. So the area where they used to keep the coffee, it was just full of people. There was people everywhere. And so I went up and started doing interviews with students in the back, on the row, asking them my questions. Because there's 4 questions I've been asking every CPAC attendee, and I'll get to those after I tell the story. So I did a couple of interviews there. And when the speech began by President Trump, I had been still uploading stuff. I said, I'm not going to be able to get other work done. I'm just going to do a blog post and put bullet quotes as he says them. I did a quick pan of the audience. I extended my stick up like this. For those who can't see, as high as I could, and just let it twist to see the crowd from above. My batteries were dead, so I took the batteries out of both of my cameras and started to charge them, which turned out to be a slightly fatal move. Because as I'm working, a young man comes next to me, and the thing that jumped out at me about this young man was his media credential, because it said TBS. Now, I watch TBS because I'm a big fan of The Big Bang Theory. I like Angie Tribeca. I love comedy. I'm a Monty Python Street Stooges guy. I've always loved comedy. And I'm thinking, TBS, they have news credentials here? I'm thinking, okay, it must be from Samantha Bee show. And the Daily Caller eventually confirmed that in their piece concerning about what I'm going to tell you. But the young man asks me, excuse me, do you have solitaire on your laptop? Now, as a guy whose major was computer science, as a guy who was first job was Raytheon doing missiles defense work with secret clearance back in the 80s, before this young man was born, saw the laptop come and thought it would never make it, the laptop. I was very wrong about laptops and personal computers. Every computer since practically the beginning of time has solitaire on it. So I thought it was an odd question, but I decided to play a little stupid. I said, well, I don't know. My wife just bought me this for Christmas, which was true. She'd actually bought it so I could play Civ 6. I'm a bit of a geek. Yeah, I'm sure you could have never guessed. And I said, I imagine it's on there. Well, then he says, would you mind bringing up solitaire? We want a shot of someone playing solitaire during Donald Trump's speech. And I looked at him and I said, but that'd be dishonest. That'd be making fake news. How dare you ask me to create fake news for you? Like, the media doesn't care. Well, we're not going to care. People don't really care what Donald Trump's saying. They're just playing cards or anything. I don't get angry easy. And by then he had left when I refused him. And I presume he came to me because I was wearing the season 12 Doctor Who scarf, the multicolored thing, the fedora. Somehow I looked like someone he thought must be liberal. I can't imagine why he would draw that conclusion, of course. If they could see your face or they could see mine, then you would be able to get that conclusion. Well, I thought this. I typed out immediately. Some guy from TBS asked me to create. How dare they? And what the worst part about it was, they had done that just after the president had talked about reporters creating fake news. And here's someone trying to make fake news. I was so upset. And I probably was more upset than I should have. I went behind to the line of people I interviewed. I said, do you see what I just did? And I said, asked me to do that. I went to several bloggers that I knew and told them what happened. And then they got posted. Gid with Lid covered it, and then Breitbart talked to me, and then the Daily Caller ended up doing the story.
All right, folks, at this point, we have got to take a break. We're up against a hard break. So when we come back, we'll finish up the interview with Pete the Tech Guy live from CPAC as he continues to talk about the fact that fake news even reared its ugly head at CPAC, thanks to the Samantha Bee Show from TBS. But we've got to take a really quick break. When we come back, more about CPAC and the news of the week. This is America Off the Rails, the Week in Review, live on KLRNradio.com, rebroadcast on CRNtalk.com, available on AMFM247.com, SHR Media, Lanterns Radio Network, and affiliates around the world, including iHeartRadio, Stitcher, SoundCloud, FM Player, Blueberry, and a host of others that I can't remember for the moment, and we are up against a break, so I have got to stop talking. We'll be back here in about 3 minutes. Don't go away.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at rahardin.com. That's the World Wide Web at rahardin.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Hardin to see and purchase his books.
I was so taken aback that it would be, why not just go and look? You're here, you're a reporter, you're supposed to be quote-unquote reporting. There's got to be something funny you could have taken a picture of. If you're looking for something for a comedy show, find something funny. This is CPAC, there's always someone in a funny costume or something. But don't try and fake it, don't try and just embarrass the guy for the sake of, I'm going to whistle, right, we're going to gaslight you. And it's just, I'm not going to do that. And the irony is, of all the people to pick on, if you look at my business card, there's a quote under my name on the business card that says, quote, "Nobody reports that, but you do. That's why I like you." And that's a quote from Donald Trump after I questioned him at a press conference. I questioned him at 2 press conferences, one in Derry, New Hampshire at the start of the campaign. I got there early, and I have a history of, if I'm covering events, I get there very early, and I scope out the area, and when the people started coming, I interview the average people, because the average people are the ones who do the voting, and you want to get a feel of what the people think. Everyone, we want to get the celebrity. No, I want to know what the voters are thinking. So I interviewed these people, and they were, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, who were here to see Trump, and I'm thinking, this could be something. So I'm in the press gaggle, and Donald Trump always did his press conferences before his events, rather than after, which I thought was very politically smart, because if you do it before the event, if there's a gap, if there's a problem, he asked about it afterwards, and if he doesn't want to talk about it the next day, then it's old news and something else might have come in. So there's all kinds of questions being asked of Donald Trump. The questions were of basically 3 types, and pardon my language a little bit. Why do you suck? Why do Republicans suck? And what are you going to do about the fact that the 2 of you suck? And that basically was the line of questioning. Now, I was down to my emergency backup camera, which is broken. Doesn't have a picture, so I can't take snapshots in it. I can only take a wide video shot. So I'm filming the press conference, and I shout out my question, and I say, "Mr. Trump, I've been here for several hours interviewing people. There's all kinds of people, big lines outside, who are all coming to see you. And again, I'm trying to enhance my reporting because I'm writing about that. What are these people seeing that we may not be?" And he's over there. "What a great question. I love that question." Points to one of the guys in the front row. "Why don't you ask me a question like that? What a great guy. Who are you?" And I say, "I'm Pete the tech guy." And there was a Trump supporter standing behind me. "He's Pete the tech guy." And he answers my question. And you could see the press turn around and like, who's this guy asking something that's not part of our meeting? Well, several months later, Trump is coming to Worcester, which is much closer to my house. So I figure I'll go and cover it. I had to work that night at 10:30. I work in a warehouse on my second job, 10:30 to 7 in the morning. So I'm thinking, I'll cover the story. I'll go to the warehouse. I ended up working in the warehouse in a full suit with my press credential on, which made me stand out in the warehouse very much. But I get there early. I'm interviewing people, and there was a big talk because I don't know how familiar your listeners are with Worcester, Massachusetts. It is the 2nd biggest city in New England. Very blue state, but more importantly, it has 10 colleges. 10 colleges is a lot for a city, even for a major city. So for a week we were hearing there's going to be large protests. There's going to be large protests. We're going to pack the audience so Trump supporters can't get in. So I'm getting there early. I park and I'm thinking there's going to be a lot of people protesting. Because 2nd biggest city in New England, incredibly blue state. I don't think Donald Trump won a single county in Massachusetts. And of the cities in Massachusetts, Worcester is one of the bluest. And all these colleges. And I get there and I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There were 11. There were lines to get in like crazy. But there were 11 protesters in Worcester, Massachusetts, at 6 p.m. And I commented, I said, that's not much of a draw. And the guys go, well, some of us have to work. I mean, and I'm thinking, 10 colleges. Yeah, I'm sure all those college kids are in factories right now. I'm saying to myself, but I didn't say it out loud. So I go in, and I interview people inside the hall. And then he said, okay, time to go to the area to receive Donald Trump. So we're all in there. This time I'm sitting in the front row corner. And this is the advantage of questioning somebody in a Doctor Who scarf and a hat, because you stand out. So I'm near in the front corner this time instead of in the back, and also because it was near a plug. I always try and put myself near a plug. And there's a bunch of reporters behind me to my right, from different news organizations. They're piling on. We cover Trump, they know. And they're coordinating. Okay, if you ask him this, I can ask him that, and then you can follow. And they're literally choreographing how they are going to get him. And now these are supposed to be competing news organizations. Now, supposedly, if I'm ABC, I want people to cover the ABC's coverage. I'm going to ask a question that drives ABC coverage. CBS, I'm going to drive CBS. That wasn't what was going on. These people were literally coordinating, and I presume that they did this every single time. And I'm thinking to myself, that's terrible. I thought it was horrible. But despite the fedora and the 12-foot and 18-feet scarf. So when he's calling on people, he called on me, and I presume he recognized me because he's the type of person who will recognize someone, especially with the hat and scarf. And I asked him, Mr. Trump, you had an event in New York on Saturday Night Live, and they supposedly was 200 protests. And he said, not as many, and that's the biggest city in North America. Here in Worcester, the second biggest city in New England, very blue, 10 colleges, they only drew 11 people. Now, they were talking protest all week. It's all this protest stuff overblown, and he's over there. It's completely overblown. He gives his answer. And at the end of his answer, he says, it's all bogus. Nobody reports on that, but you do. That's why I like you. And so that's why that's on my business card. So I've questioned Donald Trump twice, and I have two things you know about me. I am the only person, to my knowledge, who has questioned Trump at press conferences twice, and has been complimented him for the question, somebody he actually likes. And I'm definitely the only person ever to question a future presidential president of the United States while wearing a Doctor Who scarf. So those are two unique things. I got those going for me.
You've got more than that going for you. All right, sir. Well, I'm going to let you get back to the rest of CPAC because I know you've got some other stuff going on, and it looks like we're starting to get a line again. So it has been my pleasure sitting down with Pete, the tech guy. So make sure you check out his blog. I'm going to let you give that one more time.
Let me give you all the places where you can find me. You can find me at thetechguyblog.com. That's DATECHGUI blog.com. You can find me on Twitter at the Tech Guy Blog on Twitter. You can find me on Gab at the Tech Guy Blog on Gab. You can find me on my YouTube videos, which will go up before the blog posts. So all the YouTube videos will get up. The Tech Guy Blog channel on YouTube. You will not find me on Facebook. I have, from the start, refused to do. I still won't do Facebook, as Rob Eno, who's walking by, can tell you, because he's known me for a very long time. But thank you so much for having me.
It has been a pleasure, sir. You take care.
I hope I didn't dominate that too much. I didn't give you a chance to.
Listeners of this station, are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at raharden.com. That's the World Wide Web at RAHARDIN.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Harden to see and purchase his books.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Having a place to go after school will make you a better student. Having an outlet to express yourself will make you a better artist. Having something to do together will make you a better family. At the Y, we're helping build better friends, listeners, writers, swimmers, scientists, and musicians, one chance at a time. Give the gift of opportunity. Support the Y at ymca.net. The Y, for a better us.
All right, folks, welcome back. Well, we're already into the last half of the show, and that interview with Pete the Tech Guy ran a little long, so this next segment's going to be short. But, you know, the funny thing is I could actually sum up the rest of the week's news in about 30 seconds, but we're going to stretch it out a little more than that. So, for most of this week, the Democrats have sounded a lot like this.
You're a liar! You're a liar! You know something that you're not telling us, you slimy scumbag liar!
And the Republicans have sounded a little bit like this.
Will you stifle yourself?
And that basically sums up the rest of the show, folks. Good night. Take care. God bless. No, not really. Okay, so I'm kidding. But anyway, so that actually is this week's news in sound clips, because that's basically the extent of it. We have the Democrats that are suddenly rushing to judgment about the fact that, you know, when did Sessions meet with the Russians? What did he know? When did he know it? And yet we now have video and pictures and all kinds of things surfacing about all the different times that Democrats have met with Russian diplomats and Russian politicians, etc. And let's not forget this. You know, this is, I've tried to clean this up as best I can. It's one of the only sources I can find of it. I'm hoping it translates okay. But let's not forget this.
My wife's like basically, yeah. After my wife and I have more flexibility. Yeah. I understand. I trust this relationship to Vladimir. I understand. My wife's like basically, yeah. After my wife and I have more flexibility.
All right, so because of all the camera shutters and everything else, in case you couldn't make that out very well, that was actually, remember 2012 when the then president, who was running for re-election, was sitting across from a Russian official, Russian government official, and leaned in and spoke into his ear and says, "This is my last election. After this election, I'll have more flexibility. Just go tell Vlad it'll all be okay." Democrats, not a word. didn't say a word, not one word. Not only did they say they said nothing about it, they acted as if it didn't matter, because to them at the time it didn't matter. Now, this is what's driving me a little bit crazy, because I do honestly want to know whether or not there was some sort of Russian involvement in this election, only because I'm interested in the truth. The truth is not partisan. The truth needs to stop being partisan. This isn't about manufacturing news. This isn't about manufacturing ratings. This isn't about bringing more people in to get your market share up. This is about the truth. What happened? When did it happen? Is there some way that they've impacted our election? But let's face it, folks, even if they did, how many times have we stuck our little pinky toe and our little pinky finger right in the middle of everybody else's business and said, hey, we're America and we're better than you, so we're going to help you make sure that you have free and equitable elections, blah, 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 blah. You know, people seem to forget that part, because we've done that for pretty much our entire existence. When there are things that can politically benefit us in the world around us, we will make sure that we influence them in ways to make sure that they come out the way we want them to. This has been going on since our country was created. This is what every other country does as well. They have their own interest, their own ideas about how things should be run, and they do what they can to impact the world around them to make sure that they have that they come around to their way of thinking. This is not new. This is also not treasonous. The simple fact of the matter is the Democrats are making a big deal about nothing. To quote a certain politician, this is a nothing burger, because every politician that's doing their job actually meets with officials from other governments, because it's kind of part of the job requirement. But we'll get into a little bit more detail about that when we come back. It is time for another break. So this is America Off the Rails. We'll be back here in about 2 minutes. Don't go away.
You can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Readred Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Readred and all his work.
Visit Readred's website at raharden.com. That's the World Wide Web at RAHARDIN.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Readred Harden to see and purchase his books.
Folks, welcome back to the America Off the Rails Week in Review edition, broadcast live on KLRNradio.com every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Also rebroadcast on CRNtalk.com every Sunday evening at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central, 7 Pacific. And we've been talking with Pete the Tech Guy, who actually was talking about an instance that he had of fake news. We've also been talking about, the left media wanting to create fake news. We've also had, we've been talking about the Week in Review as far as the Democrats with the Russians are coming. I mean, they're seriously running around D.C. like they're the next Paul Revere. The Russians are coming. The Russians are coming. This administration is completely entrenched with the Russians. You guys all meet with Russians. This is one of the things that's been driving me crazy, because these guys are all sitting around. It's no different than them wearing white at the Trump speech. And we're actually going to talk about that in the last segment, because there were a few things that I liked about that speech and a few things that I didn't. So we'll get to that last segment of the show. But in this next segment, I'm going to go into a little more detail on some of these things that are going on, because Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are all running around screaming that Sessions needs to resign because, oh my God, he met with the Russians. Attorney General Eric Holder. Anybody remember that guy? I sure do, because I remember that he was actually in all kinds of hot water, implicated for possibly helping to run guns along the Mexican border, actually brought up in front of Congress multiple times, and yet was never made to resign. Never. But the Attorney General under the Trump administration may or may not have had a meeting with a Russian official that had absolutely nothing to do with the campaign, and yet he needs to resign immediately. Attorney General Holder was brought up in front of Congress and still kept his job. And these people, because, oh my God, Sessions may or may not have met with the Russians. This is terrible. We're all gonna. I mean, it's like they think that we're suddenly about to be annexed by the new USSR. Because look, I will admit, Vladimir Putin is no friend to the United States. He has a political agenda. I understand this. Most people don't talk about what his political agenda is, but it's honestly really scary, because he cut his teeth during the Cold War. He was a KGB agent and rose through the ranks during the Cold War. He is one of the people that sees Russia as being weak now because they've become westernized, and he wants to change that. I make no bones about that fact. I've talked about that on this show multiple times, and it's one of the reasons why I wish everyone involved in the world of DC would get out, just stay away from the Russians. Seriously. But, the whole fact of the matter is, it's not changed. It hasn't changed. It's not going to change. And for the Democrats to suddenly be talking about what a big deal it is, the Sessions may or may not have met with the attorney or met with a Russian ambassador, and suddenly it's a huge deal. These same Democrats that are screaming about Sessions doing it they have pictures of them meeting with the same person. And it's okay because it's them. This is one of the points that I'm talking about. We cannot continue to throw stones while we live in glass houses. If we're seriously going to clean up DC, one of the things that we need to do is start holding everyone to the same set of standards. So for Democrats to be standing around screaming that Sessions needs to resign because he may or may not have met with a Russian ambassador, while at the same time there's photographic proof that these same people that are screaming that he needs to resign have met with the same person, and yet they're not stepping down themselves. This is my problem. I am so tired of the tit for tat. It's okay when it's my guy. It's not okay when it's your guy. I don't know what's happened with the Russians. I want to know, because I don't trust Russia. I don't trust Vladimir Putin. But at the same time, they have been going at this for weeks and months. They've been talking about this since October of last year. This is now March. And they can't find anything. They are officially in throw everything you can at the wall mode and see what sticks, because their whole world is falling apart. The Democrats believed in their soul that Hillary Clinton was going to be the president in 2017, and she didn't get there. They've believed it so much that one of the things that I noticed at CPAC was there were commercials that were running with Hillary Clinton, telling the Democrats to keep their head held high, and no matter what, she was still going to be around, and she was still going to be here. But the interesting thing about those commercials is, they have these video editing effects they can do where they put like lens filters for broadcast. They put a lens filter on that made her look probably 5 to 10 years younger. It softened the edges around her face. It put a little bit of a glow around for the camera, so you really couldn't see all the wrinkles anymore. They are literally making her look younger than she is, because they've already decided that in 2020 she's going to get the nod again. These are the people that we're talking about. They are going to do this for the next 4 years. They're going to throw everything they can at this administration. And don't forget, you guys have been listening for a while now. I was not a Trump supporter. I'm not even really a Trump fan. But the simple fact of the matter is, he is president of the United States. And for people that are involved in this government to be openly and blatantly attacking him, you want to talk about sedition? Let's talk about sedition. You want to talk about treason? Let's talk about treason. We have the minority party of this country right now is openly and blatantly attacking the President of the United States. The Republican Party never did anything like this to Barack Obama. Never. They blocked him in ways that they could block him, and they stopped a lot of the things from coming to pass that the American people were scared of, which is why they got some of the power back in increments, because the American people decided, we don't really like the direction this country's going. We gave this guy a shot, but he's starting to scare us. But I never, in the 8 years that Barack Obama was president, heard anyone on the right come after him the way the left is coming after Donald Trump. In unison. We have a former president of the United States who, for the first time in recorded history, did not go home to his home state. Now, I say that. Somebody can fact check me on it if you want. AOTR_host. But as far as I know, I've been looking. I can't find any former president that actually hung around in D.C. The only one that's kind of at least remained in the political limelight a little bit was Jimmy Carter. But even he went back home, as far as I can tell. So if you know anything different, feel free to reach out and let me know where I messed up so I can update my information, because I can't seem to find any record of this. But Barack Obama, after spending tons of money on a house in Hawaii, is actually staying in D.C. for the express purpose, apparently, of trying to do everything he can to undermine and derail a sitting president. You want to talk about treason and sedition? Let's start talking about it, because it's coming from the left, not from the right. As a person who is conservative, when Barack Obama was elected president, I sat back in shock, but I watched and I listened to the victory speech in 2008, and I heard what he was saying, and I wanted to take him at face value. So I gave him a chance. And 2009, things weren't going so well. Things had already started turning towards the middle of 2009. Businesses were starting to go under, mine included, and other things were happening. So in 2010, I started getting a little more vocal, and I started doing things through social media, Facebook, and this, that, and the other. That happened end of 2009, beginning 2010, and the rest is history. But I never once said anything in the realm of what the Democrats are now saying about Donald Trump. And don't forget, the Democrats used to like Donald Trump. They used to admire him. I mean, we're talking about people that used to have him on their late night talk shows are now making fun of him on a daily basis. You know, say what you want about Donald Trump. The dude's a billionaire. And yet he's given up that lifestyle to run for office and do what he thinks he needs to do to make the country a better place. Whether you like what he's doing or you don't like what he's doing, you should at least admire the fact that he was willing to step down. I mean, literally, take a step down. The residence that he's living in now is probably less luxurious than his house, than his actual main home in New York. And yet he's still there, and he's still doing a job every day. And he's doing a pretty good job. Now, I don't like some of the executive orders, but I understand why they're happening. But that was some of the same things that we were complaining about with Obama, and now we're getting it under Trump. But anyway, it's time for another break. We'll be back here in about 3 minutes. This is America Off the Rails, the Week in Review. Hang out. We'll be right back in just, well, actually, I've already said that, but about 3 minutes.
Offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Readred Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Readred and all his work.
Visit Readred's website at raharden.com. That's the World Wide Web at RAHARDIN.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Readred Harden to see and purchase his books.
All right, folks, welcome back. Well, we are at about the end of the show. This gives me just about enough time to touch on the speech, which actually was the first joint session speech that, I almost said Barack Obama, Donald Trump has done so far. Now, of course, this one was basically just a joint session of Congress speech. It wasn't considered a State of the Union because he's still getting his feet under him. So now, this was honestly, there were some interesting things that happened because there were a lot of leftist media that by the end of this speech were actually saying, for the first time ever, I kind of actually feel like he was my president. But the grassroots Democrats didn't notice some very important things that I think they should have, because there were some things that were in that speech that actually upset me a little bit. Some of them specifically being the fact that he had mentioned that he was going to do what he could to get paid maternity leave and a few other things, and started talking about all the different ways that we were going to be spending money in the future to make sure that we had the things that we needed. But he didn't really talk about how we were going to be paying for all of that stuff. Now, another thing that got mixed reviews, now a lot of us that have been watching Barack Obama basically decimate the military, talk bad about law enforcement, etc. for the last 8 years, when Donald Trump gave the moment in the spotlight to the widow of the fallen SEAL team member, the rank and file media ate it up. The regular folks on the right kind of liked it. The left folks, not so much. But an interesting turn of events, I started looking through information that people were giving me from Twitter feeds that were associated with military folks, and they were not happy because they felt like he was using it as a grandstanding moment. And one of them even pointed out that at one moment, after he had said what he needed to say, he looked down expectantly with a grin on his face, waiting for the standing ovation to start. Now, I have to admit, I was really only listening because we were actually prepping to do a show as soon as that ended. So I didn't really get a chance to see the facial expressions. I have to say, I think that one of the things that needs to become uniform among all these things, though, is these type of grandstanding moments for special people or people that have debilitating diseases or have survived cancer, etc. That stuff just needs to stop being a part of the State of the Union, because it really is nothing but a grandstanding moment. So say what you want. There were things that I liked about the speech. There were things that I didn't like about the speech. And one of the things that concerns me is how we're going to pay for all of this, because while we've all been talking about the Russians and whether they're going to come annex the United States or whether they're going to secretly have dirt on Trump and be able to get whatever they want for the next 4 to 8 years. There's been this little group quietly running through Congress getting ready to pass a blank check budget. We're actually talking about what could be legitimately considered a carte blanche budget. You know, they're talking about extending the debt limit to ad infinitum. They're talking about basically just blank check. And nobody but Rand Paul's talking about it. And now the Republicans are also, while all this is going on, they're starting to pull the same stuff the Democrats pulled over their Obamacare scenario, where now only the Republicans are going to get to see what's in it, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. I have problems with all of this, and this will be stuff that we'll be talking about in later episodes of America Off the Rails, because we are officially out of time. Want to take a moment to say thank you to everybody for tuning in. If you'd like to follow along on Twitter, you are welcome to at AOTR_host. You can also follow along with the station that we've built, KLRNradio.com on Facebook. Actually, we're going to start merging some of the pages that we built for separate shows and stuff into that one so that we can help make it grow now that it's going to start becoming a lot of our focus. But at this point, folks, we are out of time. I will be back with you when I can. For those of you that listen live on KLRN Radio, I'll be back with you Monday. And for those of you that listen on other affiliates, you know where I am. You know where to find me. So we'll see you when we see you. Take care. God bless. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of your weekend. And remember, no matter what, Trump is president. So it's time to adjust your way of thinking and quit attacking a sitting president. I'm out, folks. Take care.